You're listening to Women's Cricket Chat with
Hannah
and Alex.
Coming up on today's podcast, it's the one you've all been waiting for. It's the one, the only, Charlotte Edwards. Charlotte sat down with Hannah and I to discuss all things coaching, her playing career, the 2005 Ashes, and winning the 2009 World Cup double and winning the Ashes in the same year.
So thank you so much for sparing some time, and apologies for scaring you on Monday morning. I honestly was half asleep still and I was like, are you ready for tomorrow? But simply our first question is just, what's the mood in camp like and how are preparations going for the Southern Vipers?
Look, it's gone brilliantly considering everything that's been thrown at us over the sort of winter period. We didn't fully get training till December. We've had a couple of little scares along the way, but yeah, the girls have trained so hard. You know, it's been so refreshing to be around a group of players who are just loving every single session, and that's why the squad and that's our pros. So yeah, we're ready. We're ready to get outside now and start playing some cricket, which it feels a long time since the Edgbaston game in September.
Yeah, and talk us through, obviously, last year. It was crazy. I think Georgia Adams termed it as a whirlwind because it was like, there's no cricket, there is cricket, there's no cricket, and then winning, obviously, the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy. So tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, she couldn't have summed it up any better, really. It was a whirlwind. We didn't really know till probably late June that we were going to, certainly start training. So we started training in the first week in July, and, effectively getting sort of 5 pros together, and it was a really enjoyable experience, actually. And then as the summer went on, we sort of added the rest of our squad. And yeah, all I remember was the first game we played together at Hove, and we lost to the South East Stars in a warm-up game. And in many ways, it's probably the best thing that could have happened to us as a group, because there was lots of things from that game I identified that we needed to do better. And not that we wouldn't have done that if we'd have won, because I think probably some of the players already said to you, I'm a big believer in win or lose, you're reviewing the same way and you're just as critical. So, but yeah, it was a really good learning for me, because I thought they were probably a little bit further than I thought. So, look, they worked incredibly hard over that sort of 6-week period. And yeah, there was ups and downs. There was a few close ones, but ultimately we got over the line, in September against the Northern Diamonds, which was, one of, as I've said to many people, probably one of certainly the highlight of my coaching career, but up there is one of sort of the highlights in my cricketing career, because coaching is very different to playing, but to be with that group and watch them sort of evolve over that sort of period, and to see someone like Charlotte Taylor take those wickets in the final, who I'd known for so long, and I didn't know if she could perform like that on that stage, but it's a great one for me, really, to just keep backing in characters that you think can do the job, and she certainly did that day.
Yeah, just because quickly on Charlotte Taylor, I read some places that people were like, who is this girl? Like, didn't really know who she was and thought she kind of come from the club scene. But I've realised after researching her, she did play for Hampshire and she did score some impressive runs previously in that county kind of side. So what is your relationship with her? Because you just mentioned that you've known her for quite a while.
Yeah, I've known Tace probably for 4 or 5 years now. And she didn't actually play in our championship winning season in 2018 because she had a knee injury, but she was always around the group. She was good friends with a few of the players. So, but I really got to know her sort of in that sort of 2019 series, the one I coached for the first time for Hampshire. And I just saw something in her. I saw this real desire to want to play cricket. She loves the game. And I wanted to help her. I could see someone who desperately wanted to go further. And yeah, I remember when I said to Gads on, the day that we were going to bring her in, and she was like, who's that? And I said, just trust me, just really trust me on this one. I think she's got what it takes at this level. And it was more a character, and, just to see her perform in the final. I mean, I welled up when she walked off the pitch, because it was just one of those moments where, not changed her life, but it's given us so much confidence. And, just doing her appraisal recently, she's lost over 8 kilos. She's as fit as she's ever been. And that sort of moment has changed her life. And, that's probably, to think that, 12 months ago, she never thought she was going to play for the Southern Vipers is a pretty special story. And one I just keep thinking is why this regional structure is so important to every cricketer in England. And hopefully Charlotte Taylor is given many girls in this country that real inspiration, and I think that's so important.
Definitely. It's that whole concept of rooting for the underdog when you don't necessarily think that they're gonna get to where they are, and then they flip it on you and they completely flip the switch. But I wanted to know, when it came to selecting the 5 pros, what was the process like?
It was difficult because, I think we've got a very strong region. We've got, Sussex and Hampshire are the 2 main counties. Berkshire have been a really good women's county team for a number of years, and then obviously we've got our smaller sort of national counties. So yeah, it was difficult, but a few things happened where Fee Morris went to play for the Western Storm, so we were thinking about her playing with us, it was relatively easy in the end, because they kind of did stand out as players who needed the opportunity. They've been on England academies in the past, and it felt like it was their chance to actually show people what they can do. And look, I couldn't have chosen 5 better players, if I'm honest, and I've absolutely loved working with all of them, and we've spent the whole winter together, which has been lovely, because Belly and Maya were meant to be at uni, but they've actually ended up training with us all winter, so we've had lots of fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing them, how I know they've improved. It's just whether they can transfer it into games now.
You mentioned about how COVID affected everything. How difficult is it to plan when you've got this stop, start going?
I think every time you get the opportunity to train, you try and make the most of it at the moment. That's what I keep telling the players. I mean, I'm big on, they have real purpose to training. We never go to training and we never sort of go through the motions. I think that'll be one thing hopefully the players would endorse. So every time we get the opportunity to train, we do it, and we do it well, and we don't look. We can't control COVID. That's one thing. I think I've been put in 3 isolations throughout the 12 or 9 months that we've been together. So me and the S&C coach normally get hammered on COVID. It's been incredibly frustrating. But do you know what? I could have been sat at home for the last 6 months, and I feel incredibly lucky to be coaching the group I'm coaching.
And it is obviously a very special group, because they did win the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy. And I guess we spoke to Georgia Adams back in October time now, so it's quite a while ago, but she was so, I guess, complimentary of your leadership and how that's really helped her as a captain. So what have you been telling her to be able to bring the best out of her?
To be herself. I think the best bit of advice I got when I took on the England captains was to be me, but also to build strong relationships with the players, strong relationship with myself, and I see our relationship pivotal to our success. Everyone, she may say that I've obviously helped her a lot, but just to see her grow over that summer period and watch her from the warm-up game to the end, and how much she improved, and most importantly how much she was wanting to take on, because at times I was going, Gads, it's too much. And she was like, no, just keep giving me the information. And I think if one thing I've instilled in her is the fact that you've got to prepare well. And I think her preparation for games tactically then allowed her to just go out and play and not worry about, her batting and stuff. And she was unbelievable. And I realised how special a season it was, because I thought it's going to be one of those seasons where you get to the final and it's inevitable she's probably not going to score any runs, because she's had such a good final. And that's where I kind of realised we've got a special player here to go into a final knowing you've scored that many runs and to perform the way she did. And there was a bit of flack around, actually, because there was this spat between her and Jenny Gunn before the final, and she was under quite a bit of pressure going in there. They wanted her wicket, everyone did, and the way she dealt with the whole occasion was really impressive. I've really enjoyed working with her. I'm enjoying supporting her, becoming hopefully a really brilliant captain for the next few years for us.
Yeah, she mentioned that to me, actually, the spat with Jenny Gunn, which obviously they're really good friends. So there was absolutely nothing there, but there was this was it ESPN put something out, and it kind of stirred the pot a little bit. But I guess we kind of want that as well to create that drama, don't we?
Yeah, it was the first time probably in domestic cricket that there was something, a bit controversial, and I always thought, oh no, here we go. But, I spoke to her the night before the final and she seemed fine. And I said, you've just got to let it go now. So I think sometimes just being there for her, just to talk things through, and she was fine. But yeah, it's so impressive the way she went out and led the team. And, you know, she missed out really on 100. I keep saying, I said to her when she came in, I think you missed out on a big 100 there. But yeah, and she bowled brilliantly. She captained the team fantastically well. And, you know, she keeps saying she'll never have a season like that, I don't think, ever again. Well, I hope she does, but it's going to be hard to beat.
You just mentioned as well then her bowling. Because she laughed to me when she was like, I got to training and on my like plan it was bowling, and she said something like, I was like, is she serious? Like, what is this? But obviously you knew what you were doing.
Yeah, because I know as a captain you've got, you know, you want to be involved in the game, and I knew I'd seen her bowl previously in county cricket, and actually she was better than I thought she was. So that was nice. And what she does is keep it very, very simple. She bowls it reasonably straight, which we want her to. She bowls pretty slow and she sets a decent field. So, and I think it took a lot of pressure off her batting as well. And she kept bowling herself more and more. And yeah, so, you know, and I keep telling her now, she's had her shoulder up, she's back to full fitness, and we've got her bowling every session now, and just getting her involved. And I think it actually helps her tactically as well, to think about her own bowling. And you know, you've got to have so many strings to your bow now, and I think that would be something, you know, I keep saying she's our 6th and 7th bowler, but she likes to be our 5th at the moment. So I just let her go, and you know she's doing a great job.
Yeah, because I know she found it hilarious at the time, but she's now classed as an all-rounder, right? So she's got to own it. Yeah, like, honestly, she was just laughing about it massively, but
she still does.
Does she? So she's still not believing it?
I think just about, but you know, I won't let her not bowl at training now, and yeah, it's a part of our makeup as a team now that she bowls. So yeah, she's taking it very seriously.
Good, yeah, because she said she was like a hidden weapon because people weren't expecting her to bowl as well. But I guess thinking about the rest of the team as well, who are the ones that we should be looking out for, the ones who are perhaps in the background at the moment but will really come through this season?
It's hard to single out anyone really, because they're all sort of going along. I mean, I think although Georgia did stand out last season, clearly with the amount of runs and the wickets she took, we had so many sort of meaningful contributions throughout. You know, Ella McCacken at the top of the order, 18-year-old. You know, I think she's going to go on, you know, to the highest level. I mean, to perform in the way she did in her first season. She's only 17. To get 250s, have 300-run opening stands with Gads was so impressive for such a young girl. So yeah, and she's a real competitor as well. She's the fittest in our side. So I'm really hoping for big things for her. I mean, Maya Boucher, I don't think she showed everyone what she could do last year, but you know, she's enormously talented. Tara Norris, I think her left arm seam. I'm excited for what she can do this summer. Lauren Bell opening the bowling. You know, she's quick. So yeah, and then Emily Windsor, I mean, she came out of nowhere, didn't she? And she performed brilliantly last year. So, I mean, I've mentioned a few there, but they all know how highly I think of them all. It really is hard to just single any of them out because, you know, they hopefully are all going to have to make an impact at some point if we want to be successful again this summer.
Being a former player, do you think it helps you when it comes to coaching because you can understand their point of view a little bit more?
Yeah, I think the first thing I said to the players when I sort of had a team meeting with them, I said, there'll be nothing you haven't felt. There'll be nothing they haven't felt that I haven't felt, you know. And do you know what? And I said this to them. I said the way I had to leave my England career was the first time I'd been dropped. So I've actually experienced everything now. I've experienced no runs, you know, losing games. Yeah, and being dropped. So I feel everything they feel. I care so much for them all. And, you know, sometimes that means it is hard because you want them all to do really well, but you're just there to challenge and support them as much as I possibly can, really. And it's just knowing when to do that, choosing them the right time, but definitely playing helps because I know exactly how they're feeling, and hopefully I can give them, you know, a little bit of advice that can hopefully get them through, you know, those bad times, but also through the good times as well.
Also, this week we've seen the launch of the new fan store. So how important is that for Vipers as well, and getting that kind of brand identity out there, getting the fans on board and building up a community?
Yeah, it's really important to us. I think we've got such a big region, we've got such a big reach now from 2016 when the the Vipers was introduced. So yeah, it plays a big part, and obviously we've got a really good brand involved in New Balance as well, so we've got some fantastic kit as well. And our kit's always been something that's sold really well, I think, because it's been quite, it's orange and it's bright, and kids like it. So we want to engage as much as we can. We want to, one of our pillars is to inspire the region, and we want, whether that be from the Isle of Wight to Buckinghamshire, we want to inspire as many girls, and the girls have been absolutely fantastic over this winter period. They've done so many Zooms calls with all of the regional teams, all the county teams that surround us, and they've been so inspirational in sharing advice, and hopefully once COVID's gone, we'll be able to go out to the region and go to the counties and deliver masterclasses and hopefully some road shows that, because we really do want to engage with everyone and get as many people in to support us, because hopefully once we get some crowds in this summer, we'll have a big one come the 29th of May, hopefully down at the Ageas, where I think we can probably have 4,000 people. So it'd be nice to get that many people down there for our first game.
And there must be something about the Vipers, because obviously in the KSL, you as a player won that first year of it as well. And obviously the first year of this regional structure, the Vipers are back at it again. And how important has the continuation of that kind of Vipers brand been from those KSL days? Do you think it built a bit of a platform going into this regional structure?
Yeah, I think it's been, crucial that, since 2016, the way we've built the brand over the time between, mainly Sussex and Hampshire at the time where we were playing most of our games. But the success the team has helped that. I think any girl now in our region, I think, knows that, it's county cricket and then it's to play for the Vipers. And I think that's an important message and a powerful message to any young girl within our region, that this is the next step for them and a really achievable step. We've got the Young Academy, the Vipers Academy, training at the moment as well. There's so many opportunities for young girls in the region. It's so exciting. It really is. To be in and around those players, listening to them and seeing them. We've got some of the academy training in with the Vipers at the moment. We're trying to sort of get as much experience into those academy players where they can mix with the Vipers players, and we want to build a really strong group of players, and I think we will over the next few years, because all the counties do a fantastic job in developing the game.
And Hannah just touched on the fact that you did win the Rachel Ho Flint Trophy last year. Do you feel a sense of pressure to potentially retain the title this year, or are you just taking it as it goes?
Look, I don't feel the pressure. We put pressure on ourselves. We want to win it. So, we want to win both trophies this year. That's what we set out to achieve. So I don't see it as any pressure, because I think it's a great position to be in, that we won last year. People want to beat us. I've no doubt about that. Everyone's going to be out to beat us, and the players are fully aware of that. But we'll just concentrate on us. We'll just do what we can do, and like we did last year, we didn't really focus too much on the opposition. We did obviously a bit of analysis, but it was all about how we were going to play the game, how we wanted to be perceived, and that obviously served us really well. But we all know in cricket, we all know in sport, anything can happen, and I'm ready. We're going to have a few bumps, I'm sure, this season, because we won 7 out of 7 last year. So I'm prepared for a few losses, hopefully not too many. But this competition isn't all about winning. It's about developing England players. If we have 2 England players this summer to come out of the Vipers, that will give us just as much satisfaction than it will be winning the Rachel Ho Flint. We want to win, obviously, but there's obviously small wins along the way, and a big part of our roles in these regional teams is to produce and make the England team stronger. So hopefully we're all doing that at the moment.
And you touched previously a little bit on your England playing career, an absolutely phenomenal career. You were the first woman to score 2,000 international T20 runs. You won the World Cup double in 2009, which not many people can say they've done. Did you find it difficult to transition from being a player at the highest level to being a coach, or did it feel seamless?
I think what I did probably well without really knowing was I didn't go straight into coaching, certainly a head coach. I had lots of great advice when I finished to explore what I want to do. And I think in that time from 2016 to probably 2019, 3 years, I did numerous things. I I'm still doing a little bit of commentary, but mainly commentating, doing lots of speaking stuff. But the one thing I kept coming back to was cricket, coaching, players, being involved with teams. And when this opportunity came up, I just knew I had to take it. I knew I'd regret it if I didn't do it. And I'm absolutely loving it. It's hard work. It certainly is that, but it's probably one of the most rewarding things I've done, because you're seeing players constantly getting better and helping them, along the way. And it's not just all about the cricket, it's about the off the field stuff as well. So it has been a relatively smooth transition, but I think the work I did in the WBBL as an assistant coach has really prepared me to do this job. And I was really ready to do it. I think that's the position you need to be in. You want to do it rather than you think, am I good enough? Should I do it? I was more than ready, and I knew how I wanted to play the game. And I think that's really important as a coach, knowing how you want your team to play and the things you want to and the culture you want to build.
You just mentioned that you did a bit of assistant coaching in the WBBL. What are some of the main differences in coaching in Australia and coaching in England?
There's nothing really about the coaching. It's just the setup they've got there. And I think what I will say is I learned so much, and I hate to say this, but I learned so much from the way the Australians do it. Being in a really professional setup with, all the staff, watching how they properly prepared for games, and just how they go about it has made this transition so much easier because of my time I've spent there, and I've learned so much. So thank you, Australia, for allowing me to learn as much as I did. And I must thank, the Adelaide Strikers and the Perth Scorchers. The time I've spent in those two franchises has helped me in this role, because, they went through this probably 7 years ago, where they sort of had that sort of amateur to professional setup. And it's been truly worthwhile to go out there and learn from them.
So although you've just complimented the Aussies, obviously there is a historic kind of battle between obviously England and Australia. So tell us about some of your fonder memories of playing against the Aussies, and of course beating them, because that happened quite a few times under your reign.
Yeah, my first time playing against Australia was actually on my 18th birthday, and I 2 days before I just got 173 not out against Ireland, and then 2 days later I got a duck against Australia, my first time against them. So they were like the most fierce team I'd ever played against. They were gunning for me because I was seen as this young player who had been pretty successful. So I mean, it was a great wake-up call for me. So I'll never forget that. But look, I just thoroughly enjoyed my time playing against Australia. I think it was always the game that just seemed to mean that just a little bit more, because they were the best team in the world, and we were always chasing them. For the first 10 years of my international career, we didn't beat them. So 2005 at Stratford upon Avon was when we beat them for the first time, and I just couldn't believe it. We'd beaten them, and this really successful team that had who had dominated for years, we'd managed to tip them off. So that was a massive moment, winning the Ashes in 2005. And then, I was really lucky throughout my time as England captain that we had a lot of success, certainly in Ashes series, a couple of World Cups. And one of my favourite games is probably the semi-final at the Oval, T20, chasing 158, which was a massive score back then. And then probably the best game I've ever played was the Test match in Perth in 2014, where we beat them, and it was obviously went a huge way in us winning the Ashes that winter over there, which was an incredible achievement to win the Ashes in Australia in that format, with being over all the games. And we were really injury struck on that tour as well, so to somehow get our hands on the Ashes at the end of that was quite an achievement.
And tell us a little bit more about that day, because it must have been pretty special.
Oh, yeah. And then going back to 2008, that was the first time we lifted the Ashes there in Bowral. And that was, again, another brilliant Test match. So, we've had some brilliant Test matches in Australia against them. But, I mean, any time, as I say, you beat Australia, but that time in Perth, to set the series up. And it was 44 degrees throughout the test match. It was horrible weather. And it was such a great test match. I think a lot of people who were there, Charles Dagner, I know for sure, he said it was the best test match he'd ever seen, because it just to and fro the whole game, and you never quite knew who was going to win going into the last morning. And it was always carnage. And our media officer at the time, Beth Barrett-Wild, she used to come in the changing room every night, and between 5 and 6 there's at least 5 wickets would fall, and she just goes, it's utter carnage between 4, 5 and 6, what is going on? So yeah, it was I mean, it's fond memories. Had some pretty horrible memories as well, but I try and hold on to all the good ones at the moment. And just really, really cherish those sort of memories of playing against Australia.
Especially thinking about that 2005 year, obviously the men won as well. So how do you find those joint celebrations? Because we know that they were pretty messy from the men's side of it, but the double-decker bus kind of parade and things like that, how did you find it all?
Yeah, it was quite surreal. When I see the pictures, it's hard to think that we were actually there on that same stage and going around London. And I mean, it was truly incredible, because to see that many people out there supporting English cricket, it was you kind of had to see it to believe it. So it was great, and it was messy. I mean, Freddie Flintoff was absolutely hammered. I think he'd not even gone to bed, and it was as bad as it looked. It was just a really long day. I remember as well. We went to Downing Street as well, so it was one of those days you'll never ever forget. And I feel very thankful that we were there.
And then fast forwarding a little bit to 2009. So I've just started with my PhD research at the moment, looking at the media coverage year on year, women's versus men's and everything. And I saw there was one article that was like, I'll have to find the quote in a minute when Alex asks the next question, but it was something about, if this was the men's team winning, we would be getting a parade. And that really hit me, because I was like, wait, in 2009, were there not those same kind of celebrations that you had in 2005? And I guess that must have been really disappointing, especially that year, because it was the double and then also the Ashes, and like it really kind of got to me. So I would love to hear your experience from that time period as well.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even think anything of it really. I don't think we thought there would ever be a parade for the women's team. But yeah, I mean, it was just unbelievable what we achieved in 2009, and to think, to go out to Australia, win there, and then come back home, win at Lords for the T20, and then to go on. And then I think probably our biggest achievement was actually beating the Aussies 4-0 in an ODI series. I mean, that's what people forget about that summer. We've not just won, we've actually beaten the Australians 4-0 at home, which I think was arguably the bigger performance out of everything. And then we won the Ashes, retain the Ashes at Worcester. So, I mean, you won't have a better 6 months than that as a team. For us, it's not about the open top buses and everything. Those memories will stick with us and that group for the rest of our lives. So, that, I guess the media at the time, they maybe think that more should have happened, but, we were pretty comfortable with what happened.
Yeah, because I found it quite interesting that they were calling for more kind of recognition and respect and stuff. It was quite a nice finding that I've got at the moment, I hope. But anyway, that people were trying to like move the game on and try and give you what you deserve. But the quote that I found here as well was in May 2009. There's an article about how England's World Cup winning women's cricket team need to get a makeover, and they need their image shaped, because if they were the men's, they'd be holding parades for them. But it was about glamming you all up to be able to fit into this sporting world, which I was just kind of like, this is really bizarre. But yeah, interesting.
Yeah, they don't know us very well then. For us, it's about the cricket. It's not about, it's up to, the media if they want to, I guess give us more coverage. But, for us, it was all about the cricket. It was always about, being successful that summer, which we were really lucky to do.
Yeah, because I just find it so bizarre that they wanted to like glam you up to try and fit you in somewhere rather than just giving you what you deserve for your cricket and for cricket's sake. But it's mad, isn't it? But you mentioned there as well about that group of 2009, because so many of you have gone on to do amazing things. So who were your kind of core friends within that 2009 cohort, and who are you most kind of proud of in their post-playing career?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, what a group of players. Oh, I think I'm proud of them all. I think they've all come out of the game and they've done some great things. You know, I guess some of my closest friends are Laura Marsh and Lydia Greenway, who, you know, both gone on to do great things. I guess Isha, I mean, the way her and Ed, and the way they've gone into the media seamlessly has been fantastic. You know, I've really watched I love watching them have a career now and be such, like, you know, that they're so highly thought of as well, and that's so lovely. And they haven't changed one bit, which is even more commendable, if I'm honest. And then, you know, a couple of the girls have gone and had babies, which is fantastic. They're running about now. So I mean, they're just a great group, and we actually kept in touch through the last lockdown. We had a sort of a catch up on Zoom, which was lovely. And you know, we all share some wonderful memories, and feel very, very lucky to have played with them all.
Definitely, because Ebony is one of those people who's trying to diversify the media in a sense, and she's always willing to pass on advice, which I think is really nice. And just moving it forward slightly to 2014, you were one of 18 players to be given a central contract. What did it mean to be awarded that central contract in 2014? I
remember getting the message, actually, and I had to pull over to the side of the road because I just couldn't believe it. I didn't think in my time as an England cricketer I'd be saying I was professional. So I feel so lucky to have experienced it for the couple of years I did. And again, that's a message I share with the players. I learned so much even from that 2-year period, which has helped me now take on this team who are going through that same transition. It was actually a really tough transition for all of us, because you're suddenly going from it being, you know, something you do for the love of the game. You know, we obviously got a bit of payment before 2014, but it certainly wasn't enough to live off. So you had other things going on, which we were very lucky Chance to Shine supported a number of the players. But it was a really tricky transition, actually, because like I say, you've gone from the love of the game to then it being your job, and you're getting cars and everything coming with it. So I mean, that was a tricky transition, but you know, I've learned so much from that experience, which I'll share with these players now. And I mean, it's not just about the off the field stuff. It was even just the training and how you go about it. Just because you're professional doesn't mean you have to train every minute of the day. And that's what I keep saying to our girls. As long as you go in with purpose to what you do and real focus to what you do, then, you know, if we can't do our job if we can't train in 3 hours and get everything done, then we're probably dragging things on a little bit.
Yeah, because that's also reminded me of something that Enid Bakewell said to us when we spoke to her. She was saying that she had a 20-odd year career for England, but she was never considered a professional. And she mentioned this story about how a man had a Jaguar or something, and he offered to sponsor her, but she couldn't accept the money because women's cricket just wasn't really a thing that was funded at that time. And I find that so bizarre, because obviously a lot of money gets pumped into the men's game. And yes, the men's game does support the women's game, but if you're not willing to invest properly, it doesn't work. Like, you look at the way things are going in India with the BCCI, they want to improve the women's game, but yet they don't want to have the women's IPL. So I think it's just that whole concept of having a balancing act. And with the 100 coming along, I wanted to get your thoughts on the competition and how you think it will help move the women's game along.
I think it's going to play a pivotal role now, because I think the break we've had, certainly in the last 12 months of cricket, you know, lack of cricket on TV, lack of cricket being played, lack of people being able to watch it. I think in many ways, I think this is going to really help the 100. That I think there's going to be so many people who just want to be at those games this summer, and the fact that they're double headers, you know, more opportunity to watch the games. I've no doubt this is going to be a success with the players we've got involved. Certainly on the women's side, the men's side have managed to attract some of the best players in the world. It can't not be a success, in my opinion, especially with the appetite that there is for cricket, for watching sport at the moment, and hopefully by mid-July, when the tournament starts, there'll be hopefully full houses at all of these games, which wouldn't surprise me at all, and hopefully for men's and women's games, which would be even better.
And what do you think about the decision to start the competition with a women's standalone match?
it's such an important statement from the ECB. I think, the ECB have, in a difficult period of time with the last 12 months, they have, been true to their word. They want to invest in women's cricket. They've made it a massive part of their strategy the next 4 or 5 years. And, they've put their money where their mouth is. They've said, look, we want this to be successful. The regional, they didn't have to invest in that regional structure last summer, but they were desperate to get cricket on. They were desperate to get women's cricket played. And the fact that they invested in such a uncertain time for the game, I think, is certainly gave players real belief that the ECB really are behind women's cricket. And now with this announcement about the 100 being the first game, being a women's game, is incredible statement. And I think it's going to be, it's going to be a great spectacle, isn't it, to think that that's going to kick off the 100, which the most anticipated game of cricket there's been in a while, I think.
Definitely. And I just wanted to touch on this because you've already mentioned it quite a bit about professionalism, and obviously now your role with the PCA as president and everything. What do you think the new challenges are for players? Because I know at the moment you've kind of touched on it about there's only 5 professional players within this regional structure at the moment. So I guess quite hard for those other 10 who aren't professional, maybe.
Yeah, I personally think the ECB did the right thing by only naming sort of 41 professional cricketers, because they obviously only clearly had a certain amount of money, and I think you needed to, at the time, to put that towards the best players. We've got the next best players, which I think they have done. But the fact now is that you're going to have this 5 potentially moving away from the rest of the players, which if every region is giving both sets of players the same amount of training, which we're big believers in, that we were going to give our pros our wider squad just as much as our pros. So I think our wider squad get 8 hours of cricket a week. Our pros are contracted to 12. They clearly do more than that. And we were so adamant that we wanted to commit to all the players on our programme, and I think that's important. But there are going to be problems. There's going to be England players that lose contracts that are going to come down. There's going to be regional players that lose their contracts. And that's going to be really tough for those players, because that's going to be the first time they've experienced losing a contract. You don't like to say it, but it is going to happen at some point. I'm not saying it's going to happen next week. It's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years. And that's where the PCA and us as the Vipers organisation are going to have to be there to support these players, to make sure they're doing stuff away from cricket, that they're studying, they're having other jobs, which we are really promoting at the moment. We want our players to work alongside their contracts, because it's important they're getting that balance. So and the mental health side of the game, it's huge, and these things are only going to bring those kind of issues on if there is a worry about contracts. If it's only a year, what do they do? And so although it's brilliant for the game, there are these things that are going to be kind of around that are going to make things difficult for not just us, but the players, which is who I guess we've got to look after the most.
Yeah, because you just touched on it then, it is only like a 1-year contract, isn't it? So I know Tara Norris has been brilliant talking about mental health and working with opening up cricket and everything. But I guess that is a real concern for these players this year. September, they might not have a contract. So it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure on them because, they feel there's a lot on this summer's games. And that's where we've got to give them that support around and comfort them that, we're investing in you as people for longer than a year, and you've got to. It's not fair, and we want to give them the best possible chance to show people what they can do, and and hopefully give them that security. It is tricky, but that this will all change as well. There'll be, hopefully, the ambition is, and I keep saying it, in 3 or 4 years' time, that we've hopefully got this whole 15 contracted, and that's got to be the ambition. But as I said earlier, they did the right thing by only making it 5 in each region at the moment. So, there's always, we've got to have those goals to head towards, and I think that's a really, really achievable goal.
Just touching on your role as president of the PCA, what are some of the challenges you envisage facing in the role?
I think probably the main one is around the uncertainty, isn't it, where the game sits at the moment with the financial issues the game's going to probably come up against. We probably won't see the extent of them probably for another few months, but especially if cricket is affected again this summer in some clubs. So yeah, the players will be at the centre of that, and we've got to, give them as much support as we possibly can. Big part of my role and why I was probably elected was because of the new 41 members and the women, and how I can help them, deal with that transition from an amateur to a professional, and the support we can give them around not just the cricket, it's the off the field stuff, so the social media, the mental health, and just workshops and educational pieces that we can deliver that will, I guess, help them in their new career. So I'm really prepared for a difficult, probably, couple of years, because there will be some uncertainty, but I think it's quite exciting. I think with the 100 that's coming up and the women's game where it's at, there's a few exciting things around. So it's something I jumped at the opportunity to do because I want to give back to the game that's provided me so much.
We've spoken a lot about women's cricket, but it's not just the women's game that you're responsible for, it is the men as well. So how are you going to kind of approach that? What do you think the issues are within the men's game versus the women's game, or something that you have to be aware of perhaps?
Well, I'm learning quite quickly. Some of it's just around, the franchise leagues that they're in as well, and the insurances around those leagues as well. Some of these players, it's their income and how we protect that, especially with the COVID and so on. So, yeah. And look, I think the biggest one is the contracting, the uncertainty of, how many contracts, what ECB money is going to go to the counties and how many contracts they'll be able to offer to players. So, yeah. So a lot of this is going to be about preparing players, for their transition out the game as well, especially if they're going to remove contracts. I don't know if this is going to happen, but I guess you've got to be prepared in this uncertain time, and especially with the financial issues the game's going to come up against. So, it's I've learned a lot in the last few months, I can tell you that. And and I'm looking forward to supporting, and I think being down here at Hampshire has really helped me. I'm quite close to the men's game as well here, so I do understand the men's side of the game as well as obviously being sort of really involved with the women's side.
Especially for the women's game, like we're used to seeing players go to university, go to Loughborough as like a central hub kind of thing previously before these regional structures, and used to working outside of playing the game. So I guess the men's side, it's a little bit different to be thinking about doing degrees and stuff, maybe. I'm not too sure, because I guess there was the MCCU programs, but it will be interesting, I think, just to hear maybe like in a year's time how you found it, and the men's game and versus the women's game, and what can be taken across.
I think previously a lot of guys haven't thought about going to university because they go, well, I'm going to have a 10-year in county cricket career. But I know for a fact there's lots more players doing higher education alongside cricket now, which I think a lot more people will be sort of promoting, won't they? Because, it's important you have those qualifications outside of cricket. So, and I think for the girls, we'll massively be encouraging. But I think what is going to happen in the girls' game is they're not going to go to Loughborough or the bigger unis. They're actually going to stay within their region because they see the support they're going to get. For instance, here, we've got some really good universities, and we're going to try and build relationships with those universities so the players don't have to necessarily go, to the Loughboroughs, the Cardiffs, the Durhams. They can actually still do their university, do their cricket, all in the region, which I know a lot of the players are really looking forward to doing.
I think that'll be game changing massively, because like Loughborough isn't for everybody kind of thing. Like it shouldn't be the only option, and now it's not going to be the only option. There's going to be so much more, and just thinking regionally as well, that I guess economically there hopefully might be a knock-on growth because of cricket. So
Loughborough's been brilliant for women's cricket, don't get me wrong, but everyone felt they had to go there to improve their cricket or be seen, to be in the right circles. And it's so great now that if Loughborough's not for you, you don't have to go there. You can go somewhere else and equally get the support you need.
I know Alex and I both wanted to ask about when you played in America with the MCC, and how important those MCC tours are, and especially now with like Claire Connor becoming the MCC president, how important do you think that's going to be as well?
The MCC trip I went on to USA and Canada was, and I was only talking to someone the other day, was one of the best tours I've ever been on. Why was it the best tour I've ever been on? Because I'd finished playing for England and I literally went there with 13, 15 players that I didn't particularly know very well. I knew a few of them, but not particularly well. And we all had to muck in. It was like going back about 25 years where, you turned up, you had to give each other throwdowns, and you met some unbelievable people, played at some fantastic venues. And I just loved it. And then outside of cricket, you were going to, we did so many visits to different places. And it was just such a good time, and to visit those two countries as well. I had the time of my life, and to met some amazing people. So I would highly recommend going on an MCC tour. I think it's fantastic that Claire's taken over as president. I think she'll bring so much to that role. I know she's very excited about doing it, and it was such a huge statement from them. But do you know what? When people were saying, oh, yeah, but they finally got a woman, whether Claire was a woman or a man, and what she's done in the game, she should have got that role, not just because she was a woman. And, she's done incredible things and will keep doing incredible things. I've got no doubt about it. So, it'll be, she'll do a great job. And, I'm sure she can't wait to get started.
Perfect. And I said to Alex before this as well, the MCC changed my life. I'd never been abroad before. And then in 2012, I got selected to go on the Holland tour.
Oh, yeah.
And that just changed my life completely, because then I started going abroad more and just seeing the world and playing with amazing people like Claire Taylor. And I don't think I ever had the privilege to actually play an MCC game with you, but it's just mad for a girl at 16, 17 to be surrounded by people like yourself. Honestly, it changes lives.
Yeah. And that's why I continue to keep playing in the games. I turn up and I'm playing with, there was some people on the tour who, they play club cricket, and just me catching a ball at slip for them was just like they'd won the World Cup. And I was just I've just taken a regulation slip catch. But like the woman said, she goes, well, they don't normally catch them at slip off me. And I was like, oh, cool. And I was like, and it was just the best. And as you say, you meet so many people, and and got to travel and do some wonderful things. So definitely recommend it.
Honestly, it changed my life hugely.
Oh, lovely. It's lovely to hear.
And just passing across to Alex for the final question.
Finally, what are your challenges and hopes for 2021 and for the season ahead?
Challenges? Oh, dear. I don't really, I'm quite an optimistic person. I guess the only thing would be if we had to have another lockdown, because people are being stupid. So yeah, I mean, I don't try and think too much about what could go wrong. My hopes is that we have a season that, is, obviously a full fixture list. It would be lovely, which I think we will. We get crowds back in to watch us, and domestic cricket keeps showing off what wonderful players we've got, and hopefully they'll be knocking on the door for England, because ultimately that's what we want to do, is to make England strong. And that would give us, in this sort of regional structure, a huge amount of satisfaction, I think.
Perfect. I would say that's a really nice place to finish up. We've just got 60-second quick fire questions, if you're okay with that. It'll be more like 30 seconds, to be fair. So Alex is a pro at these, so I will leave you in her capable hands.
I'm a bit nervous. I'm not good at this stuff.
It's all right. Then they're very, very simple questions.
Yeah, I know, but you just wait.
Favourite musician?
Adele.
Favourite genre of music?
Pop.
Last book you read?
Oh, wow. See, that's where you've done me. What did I read? Oh, God. What was it? Oh, I can't even remember. I can see the book cover now. Can you give me a minute?
Yeah, go for it. To be fair, a lot of people get stumped on this question. Jenny Gunn was like, I don't even read books.
I don't read books, but I have read one, and I'm not gonna remember it because I've gone now, but I can see the front cover. Yeah, keep going.
Last TV show you binge watched?
Oh, last TV show. What did I last watch? I finished it and I was really disappointed. Shows how much TV I watched, doesn't it? I caught up on Unforgotten.
Favourite film?
Shawshank Redemption.
This next question is Hannah's absolute favourite one, and it is favourite sledge.
Tell Your Story Walking.
Best place you've played?
India.
Best place you've coached?
Southampton.
Oh, I don't know. Hannah, have you got any more?
I'm gutted because we didn't actually talk about Enid much, because I know there's some beautiful stories there. So I guess
Enid.
Honestly, it's made my life being able to interview her. It was dreamy.
She's an absolute legend.
I can't believe we managed to pull it off.
She's amazing. That woman is incredible. I've got so many stories about her. But yeah, like I couldn't thank her enough for what she's done for me. And she's there all the time. And she always shouts out from the stands, come on, youngster, come on, youngster. This is when I was 35, she was still shouting that.
She says some really like nice things about you, but she did at one point, I think she said you were unfit with your leg or something. And I was like, that sounds so savage, Enid. She's like, oh yeah, but she knows. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah, she was like, you had a leg problem or something.
Yeah, I did my knees, yeah.
She was given a bit of banter, wasn't she, Alex? And I was just like, whoa, the savagery is not okay.
She's great. She's great fun. And, you know, and the thing is now, I mean, in the 2017 Ashes, when I was commentating, she was there. She was going around in a big hat. And it was just like, she's just such a character. And the girls love her. And, yeah, we're very lucky to have her in the game.
Was that the big pink hat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She did also mention when we said to her, what was it like to coach the legend that is Charlotte Edwards? She goes, I'll take some credit, but she was very, very humble and was like, someone else, I can't remember who it was, but she was like, that person really helped Charlotte out a lot and this. So she's very, very humble about helping you in the early stages of your career.
She was there like from the very start. I can remember her bowling her left arm spin at me, and honestly, she made me look stupid. Like my family just loved Enid because she was the first person who sort of took us under her wing, and my dad and, you know, my mum and my family, you know, think the world of Enid. And she was like, you know, she was the first coach at under 19 level. She was the coach. She was just such a character. She wanted to be in the nets all the time, bowling and batting, and she was still playing cricket. Well, she's still playing cricket. So then we used to play against her, like I was playing against her. And honestly, she'd be getting stuck into you the whole time. Come on, love. Come on, get on with it. But yeah, I mean, some unbelievable memories of her, and she's not changed one bit.
Yeah, we had to cut quite a lot out of the episode because it was not PG in the slightest as well. And
yeah. She goes off on a tangent, doesn't she? And you're struggling to get her back. And it's like, come on, Enid, get back on track.
Such a privilege. Obviously, it's an absolute privilege to be able to chat to you today as well. And
Pleasure.
We're so grateful for the time you've spared. And
I love it. Anytime, just let me know. And it's always good to chat through. I sometimes forget about all these things, so it's nice to just re-engage with it sometimes.
Perfect. Well, you better get off to training.
Yeah, I've got to get off to work.
Yeah. That's perfect.
See you
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
A massive, massive thank you to Charlotte Edwards for coming on and being our first guest of season 2 of the podcast. Charlotte talked so candidly, and it's really impressive to see what she's done with the Vipers in such a short amount of time. Here's hoping that, you know, they can go on and retain the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy this season, but who knows? And for those of you who don't follow Charlotte on social media, she is at C_Edwards23 on Twitter and at C_Edwards23 on Instagram. And to all our listeners, if you want to keep up to date with everything we're doing, you can follow us on Twitter at WCricketChat and on Instagram at Women's Cricket Chat. And if you want to give us a like on Facebook, we are Women's Cricket Chat. And if you wanted to give our personal Twitters a follow, Hannah is at HannahT1194 and I'm at Alex Jane Pereira. This has been Women's Cricket Chat. Tune in next time.